Welcome to the Beau Show. You all know who Elon Musk is. I've focused past shows on him because he's the founder of the electric vehicle company Tesla and also the private space exploration company SpaceX. I've admired his innovation and his entrepreneurial spirit. If you've ever been in a Tesla, you know how futuristic they are. And not long ago, I went to Cape Canaveral to see the launch of a Falcon 9 rocket that deploys satellites into Earth's orbit so that we can get better Wi-Fi around the world. Everything about what Musk does is forward-thinking and designed to keep humans evolving and progressive. But both of his companies at one time were considered failures as they went bankrupt. As a South African turned American, he has made a number of American dreams come true. But although his ideas are progressive in terms of making humans more efficient, he is not progressive in the political sense, as we consider people like AOC or Bernie Sanders or Cory Booker. They try to give themselves the name progressives, but they are actually regressive when it comes to free speech. We saw this particularly after the 2016 election and into the pandemic, because thought became controlled. It needed to come through one mouthpiece. Big tech, aka Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and other social media, also became the arbiters of free speech. They used the excuses of extremism, perhaps originally to weed out terrorism cells and communications, and they applied that to speech they just didn't like. Jack Dorsey, then CEO of Twitter, and Mark Zuckerberg of Facebook took the unprecedented action of removing the sitting president of the United States from their platforms over the subjective determination they felt that he had incited or glorified violence and insurrection at the Capitol on January 6th. But that was just the straw that broke the camel's back. They had already hidden the New York Post story about Hunter Biden's laptop, which has now turned out to be true. They allowed the narrative that such a story was Russian disinformation to lead their judgment, and it had impactful consequences on the 2020 election. And you may have seen one of my recent shows about how Zuckerberg essentially bribed local polling places by offering very substantial grants to specific Democrat districts in key states, in which the entire electoral process was staffed by hand-picked Zuckerberg personnel. He's been caught red-handed. And Twitter has been an echo chamber for liberals. It permits leftists to run amok and censors or shadow bans conservatives. Elon Musk has stayed active on that platform, and he's been able to roast a number of people, while also, of course, celebrating his company's entrepreneurial success. He recently made a big move by purchasing a 9.2% share in Twitter, making him the largest shareholder in the company. He was then offered a seat on the board of directors, which he appeared to accept, but then later he turned down. Declining the board's seat created speculation he might instigate a takeover of Twitter, but recent SEC filings state that Musk has no plans to do so, although he reserves the right to change his plans. Musk also has kind of hinted at this latest action by polling Twitter users. Posting on Twitter to his 80 million plus followers on March 25th, Musk wrote that free speech is essential to a functioning democracy, and he asked his followers whether they believe that Twitter rigorously adheres to this principle. Over 2 million Twitter users weighed in, and 70.4% voted no. It is clear that most people think that Twitter is not the bastion of free speech that it claims to be. But Musk's investment in Twitter didn't stop there. After declining the board seat, he has now made an offer to buy 100% of Twitter for around $43 billion, according to a regulatory filing, saying he wants to actualize the company's extraordinary potential to become the true platform for free speech. In a letter to Twitter's board chairman, Musk writes, quote, "I invested in Twitter as I believe in its potential to be the platform for free speech around the globe. And I believe free speech is a societal imperative for a functioning democracy. However, since making my investment, I now realize the company will neither thrive nor serve this societal imperative in its current form. Twitter needs to be transformed as a private company. As a result, I'm offering to buy 100% of Twitter for $54.20 per share in cash, a 54% premium over the day before I began investing in Twitter, and a 38% premium over the day before my investment was publicly announced. My offer is my best and final offer, and if it is not accepted, I would need to reconsider my position as a shareholder. Twitter has extraordinary potential. I will unlock it," unquote. Musk's words are to the point and measured. He believes free speech is a societal imperative in democracy. In its current form, however, he sees Twitter not serving this essential function. So he's offering to buy Twitter and take it private at a very high premium. And if it's not accepted, he said he'd have to reconsider his investment. The Epoch Times reached out to Twitter for comment on Musk's buyout bid, and the company responded with a statement saying that it had indeed received Musk's, quote, unsolicited, non-binding proposal, adding that it would, quote, carefully review it and take decisions that it believes are in the best interest of the company and stockholders. Remember that last part in just a minute. Now, in the wake of this, it has been reported by Cameron Winklevoss, the founder of the Gemini cryptocurrency exchange, that Twitter is considering a poison pill to thwart Elon Musk's offer. And even two anonymous sources told the New York Times this is seriously being mulled over. The poison pill method, also known as the rights plan, gives existing shareholders the right to buy additional shares at a discount, diluting outstanding stock and making a hostile takeover of Twitter more financially challenging. Now, Elon Musk knows about this, and he responded to this news by saying that such a move could expose Twitter's board to titanic legal liability. Winklevoss keenly notes that what Twitter is doing by this poison pill consideration, he tweeted this, that they would rather self-immolate than give up their censorship programs. This shows you how deeply committed they are to Orwellian control of the narratives and global discourse. Scary. Musk, of course, notes this and said that any poison pill action would breach Twitter's fiduciary duty. Winklevoss's thoughts are absolutely spot on. Twitter, in considering this poison pill move, would rather go down in flames than give up their censorship. That shows you how committed Twitter is to being the anti-platform for free speech. That they would turn down a massive cash offer well over market price just to continue censoring conservative voices and controlling narratives and removing Donald Trump. That's just asinine. But it's also a legal quagmire. Law professor Adam Kandub of Michigan State Law School said that Twitter's board could face severe legal consequences if they turn down an offer that is financially lucrative to its shareholders. Remember what I said earlier in Twitter's statement. So if they turn down Musk's offer, over market offer by the way, they would be legally liable for not serving their shareholders in a lucrative way. So of course there's great financial incentive that the board should accept Musk's offer. And their only hesitation would be, what? The possibility of unlocking Twitter's free speech potential to serve a functioning democracy? See, Musk sees that Twitter has lost its way, that it could serve such a vital function in a democracy like ours. When you think about China, North Korea, and even Russia, all media is government run. You cannot speak critically of government, and information is not free flowing. As a great example, China does not allow the Epoch Times and has destroyed its printing press in Hong Kong multiple times. It is trying to bury true information. So when you think about what Twitter has done in banning Donald Trump and also censoring many voices and blocking the Hunter Biden laptop story, how different is Twitter from China's own CCP, or even Arab countries for that matter? To that point specifically, Saudi Prince Al-Walid bin Talal Al Saud, who bought a 5.2% stake in Twitter, rejected Musk's offer. He tweeted, "I don't believe that the proposed offer by Elon Musk comes close to the intrinsic value of Twitter given its growth prospects. Being one of the largest and long-term shareholders of Twitter, Kingdom KHC and I reject this offer." Musk, as always, had an insightful response. He tweeted, "Interesting. Just two questions, if I may. How much of Twitter does the kingdom own, directly and indirectly? What are the kingdom's views on journalistic freedom of speech?" With these two questions, Musk put the Saudi prince in checkmate. And another Twitter user posted to the same thread a New York Times story about several former Twitter employees charged with spying for Saudi Arabia. which Musk seemed to take note of. It is unlikely that Saudis really understand the concept or the value of free speech, since in much of the Arab world, free speech and expression rights are not really permitted. Some look at Musk's potential takeover as chilling and dangerous, like the Business Insider. But the same Business Insider applauded Jeff Bezos' purchase of the Washington Post. Interesting how a guy who wants to promote unfettered free speech is looked at unfavorably.